So we just did something crazy. We
Are we in the future?
We're in the future. We time traveled.
You know what? Let's rewind 6 months.
All right.
Take us back to March 2020.
So we just did something crazy.
Actually, wait. I think we need to rewind it even further than that
Okay.
to get the story.
All right.
So maybe let's rewind another 6 months.
Okay. So, we got some pretty bad news. I have cancer. It's pretty weird to say.
Fast forward 6 months or so. 2020.
After my diagnosis, after we got home from our international travels.
Yeah, so like January 2020, February 2020, kind of the beginning of that year, we had both just had this like feeling like we should sell the house, but we had no clue where we needed or where we wanted to go. So it didn't really make sense to sell our house and not really know where to then buy a house or settle until like going back to when we first had started traveling. We had come across a few families that did like a bus and RVs and traveled around the U.S. And initially I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to go go explore the world. I don't want to live in an RV or bus. But then when we thought about it again at this point, it kind of just clicked because we still wanted to travel, didn't know where to buy. Emily could do her treatments while on the road still. We would have access to good food, good resources.
Yeah, and we didn't have, it wouldn't be quite as, well, in what we imagined, wouldn't be quite as stressful because we wouldn't be catching international flights, doing big time changes with our kids, you know. Basically, our house would go with us.
This.
For sale.
For sale?
Huh.
It's gorgeous.
Michelle, we've always talked about adventuring out in nature, you know, and camping and getting away from it all.
I mean, that's how people should live.
Yeah.
Right? We're just free.
I like it.
We
Decided to buy a bus. We started researching.
Started researching because we weren't sold on bus.
We were looking, okay, RV versus bus, you know, pros, cons, which one's better. So looking at options, I started finding some RVs first, and then we started looking for buses. We wanted to be able to customize it. We wanted it to be durable and strong, which was something that we heard could be a problem or consideration with RVs. So I found this bus, and I was like, look, I found this bus. It has like a raised roof. It's like insulated. It's all been gutted. They had painted the exterior. We were like, this is like what we want. Has like everything that we want. And the people who had bought it, they had started the work and then decided they were not going to do it anymore. So we were like, it's close by. It's reasonable price. Like, we think this is the one. We booked some tickets. We were in correspondence with the people that owned the bus that had changed their mind about going through with fully renovating it. And we set a weekend to go check it out and potentially, most likely, buy it and drive it home.
And this is like crazy for us. Like, we don't do this stuff. We don't just like book one-way tickets to go buy something kind of expensive.
Yeah.
And like usually research things to death, and
he does. Not me.
But we don't do this stuff. This was totally like me trying to jump out of my comfort zone and just making a decision. Bought tickets for a certain weekend.
One-way tickets.
Super cheap, which was kind of great. But
we were like, well, if all else fails, we can rent. We were already renting a car to get from the airport to where the bus was. We're like, if all else fails, we can just drive the rental car back home, I guess.
Yeah. And yeah.
The timing turned out to be pretty wild because So when we bought the tickets, I think it was like a week and a half or 2 weeks before we were scheduled to fly out, and that was right in March when the coronavirus kind of exploded in the US, when it just kind of became the big buzz on the news, and it was really freaky. Like, everybody was kind of like, what's going on, and
Is this a sign that we shouldn't be buying this?
Yeah.
Because things were kind of like
we were like
brewing and stuff, and so
even up till like a few hours
Yeah.
before our flight, we were like, so are we going? Like, should we do this? Do we feel good about it? And I was like, I think I feel okay about it. And he's like, oh, okay, like, I think we feel okay. So we did it.
American dream.
times it was freezing. It had snowed that day
Yeah.
when we landed. We see the bus. We have no clue what we're looking at. And the little amount of information I looked at to like what to do in buying a bus and all that stuff, we showed up and we were like, this is a bus. All right.
We felt so unprepared. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Like, I can tell it's a bus, and other than that, like, yeah, looks good.
Buying it, taking a little tour, trying to think of everything we need to consider and ask. It seems so crazy and so exciting at the same time. So Kobe just went to get the tape measure, and
I think I had envisioned that this would be bigger.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And,
like, trying to wrap our mind around, like, okay, we are seriously considering this becoming our home for our family of 5 and a cat in this little space.
Yeah, and so we weren't sure. So we went and got some lunch. Basically decided, okay, we're doing this. But the people had, when they stripped the bus, they had stripped it of heat as well. There's no heater in this thing, and it's, like we said, it's
like 30
snowed.
degrees.
It's freezing, so we're like, crap, we need to go get something, at least, like, can we find some, like, blankets that are, like, battery powered, because there's no electricity. You can't plug it into anything. To, like, finding some way to try to, like, get heat for us for this, like, long drive. Not only that, there is one seat in the bus. It is a shell and a bunch of wood, a few components that they, like, threw in with the stuff, and just metal and just tools, and it was loud and rickety, but nowhere for Emily to sit. And we bought a little poof.
Yeah, from
Poof.
Target.
Poof. Puff.
Poof.
Poof.
I would say poop.
Poof. Poof or
Seat
puff?
for 7 hours.
yeah, there goes our hand warmers.
Need some of those.
Anyways, we were running so far behind at this point.
We finally got on the road, got like 45 minutes into the drive, and then we're like, oh crap, we didn't fill up with gas.
With all the excitement of, like, driving this, like, new thing, like, this is all new.
We're like,
we gotta get home, and we're trying to, like, figure out, like, we gotta get home. Totally, like, spacing the gas gauge. Oh no, where's the next gas station? The next gas station is, like, super far away. We turn around and drive back, like, 20 minutes, I
I think
think,
it's like 30 or yeah.
to the nearest gas station. Whoa, it's loud. We drive home. It gets foggy on
And
these
freezing.
roads too. It's like through the mountains. You can barely see the lights. It's a 20-year-old bus. The lights aren't like that great, and I'm just like so focused in. I'm like, you can't even hear, like, hardly hear what she's saying anyway. She just like yell to me, and I'm like,
Yeah, and I'm sitting in a camping chair behind him. So, like, there's nowhere to sit next to him. So I'm behind him.
get over this pass. And who would ever be so relieved to get to the state of Wyoming? I don't know.
It's supposed to be. Oh, la la let me be. La la let me be. La let me be free. Let me be.
It was a wild ride.
We finally made it back to the Davis County area around 3 a.m. and
3 a.m. Parked
or 2:30, I don't know.
something like that. It was super early. Parked it on the street. Within 6 hours of being home, I already had the police call on this.
Yep.
Boom! That's for another story. About a bus.
Yep, we live in a bus.
La la let me be. La la let me be. La la let me be free.
Wood bouncing around. Holy cow. It's that much. I know, that one was nuts.
But every time I would we'd go over a bounce, I would just bounce to the bottom of the bus and hit the bottom of the bus. So I'm laying on this air mattress, just bouncing, hitting the bottom of the bus. He's freezing driving, and I'm just curled up in layers and blankets.